So here we are, light painting brushes live in December. I've got from all the way from Australia, Michelle Grace Hunder, MGH. I love it.
Hi,
Um,
everyone.
this is super cool because here I am. I'm over here in Virginia, USA. It's December 15th. It's like snow and ice outside. It's winter time, and we're time traveling all the way to Australia, where it's December 16th, 11:30 in the afternoon, and it's summertime. So to
It's,
me, that just
well, it's
blows my mind.
summer. It's unseasonably cold at the moment, so it
Oh,
doesn't
is it?
feel like summer, but it is correct. We are in summer at the moment.
What would you call unseasonably cold?
So it's today's 15 degrees Celsius, which I don't know what that is Fahrenheit, but like maybe 30 something or 40 something. Like, I don't know. It's not very warm.
Oh, wow, wow. All right, and
I
you're
don't know
there,
the conversion, so someone might yell at me and go, it's not that, but basically it's not very warm. It's not freezing, but it's definitely not summer weather. So
right? Well,
yeah.
welcome to the show. Thanks so much for working with us and being here. It's a pleasure to have you. If you could go ahead and just give us a little introduction about yourself, who you are, what you do there in Australia, and where you're from.
Sure. So I live in Melbourne, so the very southern part of Australia, and I'm a professional music photographer. So I've been working professionally in the music industry for almost 13 years now. I picked up a camera really late in my life. So I was 31 when I started shooting. So I came to it quite late and just really took to photography and really gravitated towards working with musicians and artists in this country. And it's been an amazing journey, and I've managed to kind of carve a little niche out for myself here, which is really great. I've got a couple of really well-known projects that did really well in this country as well. One was a book on Australian hip hop called Rise, and one was a documentary and photo series on women in Australian music, which did have a lot of industry impact, which has been really good. And then just recently started light painting in the last year or so. So it's all very new to me, which is great.
Right, that's fantastic. So when I came across your Instagram and I actually in the Australia light painting group is where I saw you post some work with Rolling Stones, and one of the neat things is when I think about a publication, that would be a huge accomplishment. Obviously, like National Geographic, Time Magazine, having the opportunity to work with Rolling Stones. To me, that's a huge success, and that's really something. So what was it? Was it like how did that come about? Did Rolling Stones reach out to you, or
Mm.
were you was it an event? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've done a little bit of work with Rolling Stone here. They've published quite a few of my photo galleries before. They sent me on an assignment to South by Southwest, which was in March. I went to Austin, Texas for that and profiled all of the Australian artists that were performing South by Southwest. So I have a really good relationship with them, and they had approached me to do backstage artist portraits at a festival here called Splendor. And Splendor in the Grass is like a big, like 3-day festival that happens up in Byron Bay, northern coast of New South Wales, and it's a kind of a big deal. It's one of our bigger festivals and has big international acts. So I was really excited to do backstage portraits, but like I also wanted to do something that was a little bit different and would have a really big impression, because I've seen backstage portraits done before, and I know the reason that it's like this. They're often quite simple and not overly creative, but it's based on the space and the time accessibility with the artist. So I understand why it's like that. But I think just thinking outside the box a little bit, and I had just started light painting. And so I pitched this idea to them and said, hey, what if we did this? And they really loved the idea. But the problem was I really only just started.
Right.
So I'd done like a few sessions, and it was taking me a long time to get usable results.
Right.
And I guess you guys know it's extremely technical, and it takes a while to get a hang of, especially when you're using people.
Right.
I mean, I've seen lots of different versions of light painting that are using landscapes or using still images, but people really are a different kettle of fish because they move.
Right.
Mainly because they move. So it can be really tricky getting something usable. So I literally trained like you would for like an athlete training. I trained for like 6 months. I was practicing a lot in my studio to get to a point that I was getting usable images really quickly. And I started finding little tricks that would work, you know, with 1 or 2 goes. And I knew that I would only have, you know, 3 to 5 minutes with an artist. So I really had 1 or 2 opportunities to get something usable. And, you know, I was shooting, I think like 35 artists or something. So I really had to like hone those skills. So it was just like 6 months of practice. I'd have people come to the studio and, yeah, just like play, I guess, and started seeing a bit of a style emerge, I guess, and stuff that I really liked working with. And yeah, that's where the idea and it kind of came from.
All right. Yeah, so let me go ahead and I'll screen share and we'll share some of these images and
Sure.
give me 1 second. All right. So yeah, so tell us a little bit about you know, are these who are these people? Are they various Australian artists or you know,
There's
what
a
is it all the
yeah,
music
there's a bit of
industry?
both. There's a bit of both. As we go through, there's some international and some Australian artists as well. So this artist here, Bajera, he's a young Indigenous artist. That one, Chillinit, he's a rapper. So like there's, you know, they're quite well known here because they're doing, the festival's a really big festival. So you have you know, varying stages of artists and then international artists as well. So and like I said, I had 3 to 5 minutes to kind of create something. Nothing was pre-planned. So I'd kind of like, they would walk in, I'd kind of look at what they were wearing
Right.
and their vibe and try and work something out within what
Okay.
I was kind of working really intuitively because somebody saw these and they were like, how did you art direct this? Did you pre-plan this? And I was like, no. They would just walk in, I'd check out the colors they were wearing and kind of go from there and just like, you know, intuitively work out what's going to work for the artist. So yeah, it was a technique that kind of worked really well for me. And I was actually really proud of myself because, I mean, as you guys know, like this stuff, it's not that easy. It's not something you can
Right.
just pick up and do overnight. And the fact that I got so many great usable images with really, you know, great artists, and with the publication like Rolling Stone, obviously. And, you know, it was really cool to put light painting on the map as well, because a lot of people had never seen this technique. So I would try to explain it to them and I'd be like, all right, so you need to be really still. It's like the opposite of every photo shoot you've ever done.
Right.
Be really still for the next minute. And then, you know, the tent's pitch black. So they don't know what the hell's going on. I'm just waving stuff around and,
Right.
you know, running behind them with tubes and all kinds of stuff. And the light painting brushes. And yeah, we got some really great usable results. So, and you know, I showed them and they were just like, I've never seen anything like this before. So it was really cool to show them what's possible with light painting and a technique like this. So yeah, we're bringing light painting to like a wider audience, which is really cool.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I myself have had the opportunity to work with celebrity with the music industry, and one neat thing when we were in LA with Jason Page is the Jonas Brothers had come into our tent to do a light painting,
Oh,
and
awesome.
Nick Jonas says he knew exactly what it was right off the bat.
Ah,
Well, I would
that's
love the
so cool.
opportunity. We didn't have much time with them, but man, I'd love the opportunity to like sit down with Nick and actually talk about some light painting and stuff. I think that would be pretty neat. But one neat thing about that was a lot of them, you know, you tell them you're in a dark space, just stay still. This is what's happening,
Mm.
and they're like statues. You know,
Yeah.
did you find like some of the artists, you know, just that statue, just that Showtime kind of, you know, where they're just completely still and you found it really easy to light paint with?
Yeah, mostly like I think too when they were in their environment, a lot of people said, which I mean, you probably get this as well. They were like, I didn't breathe for the whole
Right.
time, which is something that's really common. They feel like they have to be so still that they don't have to breathe. And I keep forgetting to say, oh no, you can breathe, it's
Right.
fine. But no, they were really great. And the best thing with too was like, you know, if I did one and I showed them and be like this is, you know, show them on the back of the camera, they'll be like, oh my God, that is incredible. Like, let's do it. I think I could do a better expression. They get really excited about it and really animated, like, let's do it again. Like, it's okay. We've got, you know, we've got a few more minutes. So
Right.
they
Then
would
the
get really
manager
behind
steps
it.
in.
Yeah.
Then the manager steps in and says, "No, we don't got
Yeah,
time for that."
no. I was
Right.
actually really lucky. Like they, you know, if we had to have one or two goes at it, they were really, really keen to do it. So, yeah, like, and there were a few people too that said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I know this. This is a long exposure," or you know, someone might have tried it at photography school when they were young, or,
Right.
but they were quite impressed with the results and also the tools. Like obviously the amazing light painting tools that I have from light painting brushes, and you know, people, a lot of people hadn't seen
Right.
those types of fiber optic brushes or the wands, and you know, everyone thinks it's a lightsaber, so it creates lots of opportunity for conversation, which just, it breaks the ice immediately. So it just feels like it's such an easy, um it's such an easy way to connect with an artist, because that's the hardest thing, is if you've got 3 to 5 minutes with someone, how do you make a connection to get
Right.
something, you know, really great? So yeah, I feel like it's
Uh,
such a great technique for that.
it actually made me think of a question for you. So your setup during this project and you're capturing these musicians, did you have some kind of screen that was up for them to see, like once you're creating the image and the light painting, like how are they viewing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I didn't, because originally I had thought that if I was tethering and had a screen, like the light from the screen might interrupt with the light painting. Since I've done those ones, I've actually tethered and it's been totally fine.
Right.
So if I did it again, I would definitely do that. I would definitely tether and have a screen and show them. I was just literally turning the camera around. It was on a tripod,
Yeah.
and I would just turn it around and get them to have a look. So, but I think having a screen to get that instant feedback in the future would be, yeah, would be preferable. And I've done that since with shoots that I've done in the studio. So yeah.
Another neat thing about shooting that way is just one thing I love about light painting is that connection, that expression that from somebody, that initial viewing of what you just created. So to
Yeah.
be able to actually see their faces and see that, I think it makes it more intimate and you're engaging more. You know what I mean? So that connection
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
saying
No,
is
I
so
totally
awesome.
agree with you as well. Yeah, yeah. And I
Um,
think they get so blown away by seeing what's possible when it's
right,
like they're
right.
just sitting in a dark space. You know, we were in a little tent, like a just in the media area. So they were just blown away with what was possible, which is really cool.
Awesome, awesome. What inspired you to choose light painting specifically for this project? Versus
Hmm.
just doing some kind of normalized just photo shoot. Like, what inspired you to actually use light painting and say, "Hey, this is what I want to do"?
I think it was because it was a new technique that I had tried, and I was kind of throwing myself into it at that point, like trying to get better. And I just thought it was a really good opportunity to show what's possible, but B, a big challenge to myself, to get really good in a very short period of
Right.
time. So there was kind of a few little selfish reasons as well, of like, oh my God, I've now promised that I can do this thing.
Now you
I
got to
better get
perform.
really
Yeah.
good at it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So let me see here. Tell us a little bit about how did you become involved in the music industry, and as a photographer, how do you feel light painting, fits within the music industry, the type of work that you do? I know you've kind
Sure.
of touched on that since we've been talking,
Yeah.
but if you could tell us a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I used to be a musician when I was a kid, and when I started taking photographs, there was a rapper from my hometown who was just starting to come up in the scene, and so I just started like following him around with the camera, and then I just got really immersed with, originally it was Australian hip hop, so I was really excited by artists that I was seeing create music in Australia in that genre that I wasn't aware of before. So I became really passionate about documenting Australian hip hop, and it really just took off. I think it was perfect timing in that there wasn't many people documenting hip hop in the country at that time. And then I did this really big project where I made a coffee table book that was profiling Australian hip hop artists. And then after that, my career just took off because I think it showed that I was really serious, and, I'd done this really massive tangible project. There was 200 artists in that book, and I've traveled all over the country to do it. So people thought, she's really serious about this, and the industry took it really well and thought it was really impressive. So, and then from there, it's just like been navigating. I don't just work in hip hop now, I work across all genres. And when I started light painting, shout out to my friend Russell. His username is Light and Lens, I think it is. I was streaming on Twitch during COVID in Australia. Well, in Melbourne anyway. We had a very harsh 2-year lockdown where I wasn't able to shoot the majority of the time. So I started streaming photography related content on Twitch, and I met this really amazing guy, Russell. He's in America, and I would do a competition every Sunday for my community. So I would set a challenge that was like, we'd set a theme. Say the theme was, I don't know, portraits, or sometimes we'd pick a color, or every week it was a different theme. And every week he would come, so he would use light painting in a way that would, it would still nail the brief. He was still doing something, but it would always had an element of light painting. And I was so impressed with what he was doing, because I was just like, how is he doing this? This is so incredible. And I was really inspired by his work. So I started talking to him, and he really encouraged me and was really helping me at the start, and told me where to get all the tools. And then recently I just went to LA, and I was able to link up with him, and we did a whole day of shooting, and I was watching him use the tools that he has. And it was just such an honor and a privilege, because he's such a legend, and
Absolutely,
he's
yeah.
so talented. His work is just incredible. And he really inspired me to, see where I could take light painting. So yeah, it's been such a lovely journey, and I've met some really amazing people along the way as well, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Russell, he's in Colorado. He's a
Yes,
great guy, beautiful work. He
he's
does
amazing.
really,
Yeah, so
really
he
some
flew
great
out to
work. So
LA when
yeah.
I went to LA, so we could meet up, which was it was so awesome. And I organized 3 models, and we just spent the afternoon like light painting. It was so fun. It was really cool.
Awesome. How can we here in the light painting community contribute to the successes of these types of projects? Or maybe, do you have any kind of advice for others wanting to chase their dreams, that have opportunities, to be able to do stuff like with Rolling Stone magazine and do these kind of projects? What kind of advice would you give to somebody like that?
Yeah, it's such a tricky one, because I feel like with myself, it was this really weird intersectionality of like my existing work and career, and, knowing these publications for over the, past 13 years. And then light painting came in, and I was able to kind of merge the two worlds. So, I guess I would suggest people doing the same thing. It's like, how can you, if you're just, I mean, some people are just doing light painting, I totally understand. But if you're also doing other forms of photography, like how can you incorporate the two together, and how can you use your existing contacts and networks? And, if you're working for publications, or if you're working for organizations, show them what's possible with light painting. So for example, I just did a light painting shoot for the company Yamaha, because they saw my work with Rolling Stone, and they were like, oh, can you do this with products? And I was like, well, yeah, products are way easier, because they don't
Right?
move.
They don't move.
They don't move. So we did like a whole catalog shoot, which people probably wouldn't even think that Yamaha, who were just, selling keyboards and guitars and speakers and stuff like that, they want to incorporate light painting, because it's really different and is going to make their product stand out. They
Right.
don't have to do any graphic design, because it already looks like it's digitally enhanced, but it's not. It's all in camera.
Yeah.
So, thinking outside the box, like how can you present to a client about how you could incorporate light painting into existing work and existing clients.
Absolutely. That's great stuff there. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna screen share real quick. I want to give me 1 second. Oops.
I've got a question for you real quick, Michelle. It's Jason with Page.
Yes. Hi, Jason.
Hey, thank you again for being here. And that was an incredible interview you just gave, and so many tidbits of great information in there. So thank you very much for that. Incredible. Just, did you do the shoot completely by yourself? The Rolling Stone shoot?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Here, hey, Jason, watch. I came across this video. Let me play this for everybody real quick.
This is my little. I forgot that I did this. This is my tent. I forgot that I made that little TikTok. So yeah, that's the tent. You can see the outside of it. So very simple. Also, you'll see the thing that I didn't mention also is I was actually shooting for another magazine on the same day. So Tone Deaf, Tone Deaf and Rolling Stone in Australia are actually managed by the same company. So it's not really surprising that I was doing 2 publications because they kind of fall under the same umbrella. But Tone Deaf wanted to do black and white portraits, like very traditional black and white portraits that they were going to put their masthead over. So I actually did that in the same space, mostly with the same artist. So I was kind of doing 2 shoots within a space of about 10 minutes for 2 different publications.
Oh, wow.
Which actually worked really well, but it sounds crazy. And I actually can't believe that I pulled it off, but I was doing it all by myself.
Was one of those light painting and one not? Was it like
yeah, so yeah, one of them was light painting and one of them was like a traditional like strobe, like black and white portrait, just one light, you know, across the face. There might be an example maybe on my Instagram somewhere. I can't remember if I think I posted them. I might have just posted them on my story. I can't remember.
Well,
but yeah, so it's just.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was just like, so I got a lot done in the space, you know, with two completely different setups, because one is like, you know, an overhead light with a strobe, and one is like, you know, it needs to be completely black. And so I just kind of thought about utilizing the space as best as possible. I just had a black backdrop so that, yeah, I took in a black backdrop. And I think you saw when you showed that little video that I put a blanket on the inside of the tent. So where it kind of could open up, I didn't want any light coming through. So I found a blanket at the Airbnb that I took down to the festival, and I put it over the door. So you had to walk through the door, and then the blanket, which again just made a very like hilarious conversation, because people are like, what is going on here? Like, what are we coming into?
Nice. Yeah, it's what a project, and what a the reason I pulled up your page here too, you know, just it is how can we follow along with you? You know, do you have other sites, or you primarily use your Instagram here? You have, your Instagram is worth having a look at. I want to tell you, it's just there's some really beautiful work here. Me and Jason came across something I wanted to share with you. It's just absolutely beautiful. We found down here this right here.
That's one of my favorite shots.
And I loved.
So this is yeah, you go. Sorry, you go.
I was just saying, we're not really, we weren't like tearing it apart or whatever. We were just intrigued by so many different elements in it. One thing that really stands out for me is just the softness of the eye right here, the white of the eye, or whatever. That just draws me in, and her hair. She's absolutely beautiful. I know Jason had a couple questions he wanted to ask about these. So, Jason, you want to ask her?
Well, they weren't so much questions. It's just I am in love with this image.
Right.
It's just everything about this image I absolutely love, and just from the way the colors of the orange and that blue. And I guess you must have used like a blue strobe in this image, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I actually used a blue LED. So this was my first session with a model that I ever did, a kosher, and it took me nearly 2 hours to get something even slightly usable. This is when I was really, really, really new. And this is actually still one of the images that I'm most proud of. I think because I was in my head, I'm not a very technical photographer. I'm actually very intuitive, and I have to work stuff out for myself. It's really hard for me to get, I'm not good at watching stuff or reading stuff. I just actually need to do it to see, you know, and it was frustrating me this day because actually I'd done it one time previously on a model that had lighter skin than a kosher. And the time I tried with the kosher, it just wasn't working. I was just like, why is this not working today? And I worked out after about an hour and a half that I needed to light her skin separately to illuminate her beautiful color, but I needed to do it that. So basically I had an LED on that right side that you could see that I switched on for about 2 or 3 seconds. Then I switched it off. Then I did the wand behind, and then I did the fiber optics in the front. And I've never been able to replicate anything like this again. I don't know whether it's because I had just been playing around with it for like an hour and a half and then it finally clicked, but this is definitely one of my favorite images. But it's, yeah, I mean, the fiber optics in themselves, I find really tricky to get right on different days. That's one, I mean, I love them so much, and they're my favorite tool to use, but I find them very hit and miss for me. I look at other people and I'm like, I'm struggling way more than other people are with these. But this day on this particular image, it kind of just worked. It was like the exact right amount. But again, it was just persisting and just doing it. And Akosha was so patient with me that day. I think other models would have left. Like most models can sit for probably about half an hour, maybe an hour max. It's very, because you really do have to be quite still, and it you know, it sounds silly, but they get tired after a while. But she was just like, no, I want you, I want to help you. I want to see where we can go with this. And yeah, it's such a beautiful image. I'm really proud of this. So I'm glad you guys picked this one out, because it's one of my favorites as well.
Go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say it is an incredible image, but I also think that you touched on a little bit of the beauty of light painting is that every image is unique and unrepeatable. And the fact that
yes,
no matter what you do, you'll never create this image again. Even you being the creator, you'll never create that again. And that, to me, is a big part of the magic and beauty of light painting. But that image is just absolutely incredible. This whole series with her, I'm in love with. I love it so much. Just so
yeah,
good.
this was, like I said, very much towards the end of the session where I got a couple of in a row. And again, even with this one, like this is the type of style that I would like to do more often, and I really struggle to get the fiber optics to work as well as it did on this particular shot. And you're right. I mean, that's the beauty about it, and it's what I really like about it as well. Is like, there's something in the imperfection of the images that I love as well. And I think that's why I'm I've been talking to Russell about this a lot with the AI images and stuff. There's something about the beauty in the imperfection with light painting. It makes it more human and real. And that's, I'm kind of a little bit allergic to like AI, and I'll probably get left behind. Everyone's going to be doing that in 10 years. But like, I love this. I love that there's mistakes. I love that it's not perfect. I love that it's not symmetrical. And, there's bits that'll fly up that are too high in the image, but that's what I love about it.
And her hair, how do you say her name?
Akosha.
So cool.
Yeah.
She's got the most
she had
awesome
an
hair.
extension braid. Yeah, she had an extension that day. I've worked with Akosha a few times. I actually just worked on her whole album campaign. I did all of her single covers and album cover, and so I've got a really great relationship with her. There's an album cover there. Actually, you can see that one with that one.
Yeah,
that's the same model. That's a superimposed image. So she actually had a graphic designer put the background in that one.
She's beautiful. Her skin tone is just gorgeous.
So beautiful. Yeah. Actually, her album release was last night, so I got to see her perform, which was amazing. She's so talented. She's so lovely. She's really committed to the art of photography as well. Like, this is what I love when I find artists that are really passionate about you know, they really want to make their images strong and bold, and not every artist is like that. So it's really special when you find those people and you can have those relationships, and she's one of those people. So I feel so fortunate to work with her.
Awesome. Well, if she sees this, hey,
Yeah.
you're
Yes,
gorgeous.
yes.
This is beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah.
Let me stop this here. Yeah. So again, you know, thank you so much for being here. It's such a pleasure to meet you. Johnny or Jason, do you guys have any more questions or anything you'd like to ask her?
I
No,
just
she
wanted to
tapped on
say,
just about all the details you would want somebody that's beginning and the guy that takes a passion in it. You know, she hit all those little keys that we're
Oh,
looking
absolutely.
for in somebody that really has a future in light painting, you know, can be the future of. You know, us old guys, we've been at it so long that we don't know anything new anymore. So it's a breath of fresh air to have
Absolutely.
somebody passionate about it that's coming into it.
can we just talk about why Johnny's dressed up like Santa Claus real quick?
Right.
Well, I could answer that short, but
Johnny did Santa
Season?
Claus. He was Santa Claus today.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yeah, thank you again so much. Appreciate you taking the time out to be with us. And yeah, so I think the interview went very well, and this is so great having you here. So keep up the great work that you're doing. If myself or any, you know, if I could ever be of any help, or if you have any questions,
Yes.
I know it all, but you know, I'm all about light painting and contributing to the community and helping people. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime if I can be of any help. So thank you so much for being here.
and when
Thank
we
you.
can, we love to
I really
travel.
appreciate it. Oh, you love to travel? Did you
So
say?
whenever you're in the States, let us know, you know,
Absolutely.
Oh,
if
yes.
possible. Yeah.
Oh,
we
absolutely.
love to
Yeah.
collaborate.
Oh, that's such a great idea. Well, I've got my work visa. I've got my O1, so I can actually come back and forth to America, and I'm planning to do way more trips now. So I will take you up on that. Absolutely. So, and I'm just, thank you so much for having me on this. I know I'm very new to this, and it feels really lovely to be welcomed into the community, like you guys have. It can be very overwhelming when you're new, and sometimes it feels like, you know, you're not as welcome when you're new, and everyone in the community has been so lovely and so welcoming. So I just wanted to say thank you for that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Keep up the amazing work, and we'll definitely be following along.